of a night, when things ain't going right. No, 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 you will remember.
Smiling Friends is one of those shows that comes around once in a generation. This is a show that's always going to hold a special place in my heart. I feel like I'm a completely different person now compared to when it first came out. I mean, the show has been out for 6 years now and only ending in its third season. I remember the first time I watched it, however, because I was sitting in the living room and my mom wanted to watch something with me, and she said, well, what do you want to watch? And I said, well, there's a new show called Smiling Friends. It's about like these weird little animated critters that like go around and help people smile. At least it's what my friends told me. And she was like, oh great, let's watch it, it's on HBO Max. And so I pulled it up, and if you guys don't know, the first episode is the one with Desmond, where he wants to shoot himself in the head with a revolver. Now, I was immediately floored by this. I thought it was hilarious that they could go from normal conversations 1 minute to like a very serious topic of suicidal tendencies and depression, and the sun's gonna blow up in a few billion years, and turn it into something that is hilarious, especially with what happens to Pim at the end of the episode. Now, I wanted to start with a character that is probably the face of Smiling Friends, or the one that people think of the most when they think about Smiling Friends. Now, this might be a controversial take, but Charlie isn't my favorite. I wouldn't even say he's near the top Smiling Friend for me, and there's a couple reasons for that. He's a character that I would say I enjoy watching on the television screen, interacting with the other characters that I enjoy, but his personality rubs me the wrong way somewhat. There's just a couple of instances where I feel like Charlie's personality is interesting. Like, for example, during the Shrimpina episode where he takes him to the gym and tries to get him new clothes. I mean, you can just listen to it for yourself. I just looked up the clip and just give it a listen.
The single best thing you could do to get your life in order and be attracted to chicks is to get in shape and become an alpha male like me.
I'm not trying to be mean to Charlie, but it's very clear that the joke is just that he's not an alpha male and that he's posturing himself as the kind of person that would say these things. And that's kind of why his character rubs me the wrong way. But I mean, there are some good aspects to his character. For example, like when he's messing around with Pim and then says he doesn't care about politics in the beginning of the President Jimple episode. And then later he says he gets into politics because Pim was interested in it. And, you know, there's just little things that show, you know, he also works for a charity too. So I think he does get paid because he has to eat, obviously, we all do. But like, he's one of those guys where I think his morality is just very interesting. And I think that definitely helps making him just not like a Pim character. And there's depth to Pim, and I'll go on that later. But it really goes into making his character have more depth. But I don't personally fuck with him as much as the other characters. If I had to pick, it's so hard to pick, but Pim's definitely one of my favorite Smiling Friends characters. And my gut reaction at first is to say because he's positive all the time, but I would say specifically it's because he tries to inspire positivity while not being entirely positive 100% of the time himself. But he just tries to do good no matter what, but he also does understand when it's time to lock in and not be annoying about it. And we've definitely seen what it looks like for a character to be too positive. But like I mentioned before, Pim does have his down moments where he does lose his positive outlook on life, like the Enchanted Forest episode, where Charlie gets to live out his dream of being an amazing hero, and he not only mentally degrades, but he also physically degrades into a very clear parody of the Golem. But that ends up being a good thing as he murders the domestic terrorist Mip, which I think is hilarious. But overall, I think Pim's character is definitely one of my favorites, especially because seeing his home life and how he grew up with a father who was presumably at work all the time and a mom who was stressed out from the horrible conditions, probably didn't do a good job of raising him and his sister, and also the strained relationship between him and the rest of his family. It seems like he really took those negative aspects of his life and tried to not repeat those and tried to create a better life for himself and to make everybody more happy than he probably was as a child. And that's probably partially what it inspired him to go work for a charity that makes people smile. Overall, I think Pim Pimlington is definitely one of the top tier smiling friends in outlook on life and performance of his job. Also, he's just a cool dude, and I don't know, I fuck with him.
Huh? What's the green thing do?
Well, actually, I don't know. That's a good question.
Glip is an interesting character to me because he has such a big presence, but also such a little presence. I mean, physically, but also in the show. Like, he isn't really shown to do a whole lot. I mean, obviously, there are episodes that have him a lot, and like we learn little things like he hates gardening. But aside from like the Mr. Frog episode, and then like the episode where he gets his whole backstory, we see that he's born in 380 and he's literally the cause for a lot of mass human suffering accidentally throughout the world. We don't really know a whole lot about him in between the period of joining the Smiling Friends by helping Mr. Boss smile and then the present day. And I love this little interaction between Glip and Mr. Boss too, because Mr. Boss was ready to kill himself and possibly Glip or someone else. I mean, he's literally tweaking, but he lost everything, and all it took was this little silly little green dude to completely change the trajectory of his life. And I just think there's something really sweet about that. That this little green dude just wandered into this crazy dude's life who's down on his luck, and he was able to turn his whole life around and make something pretty awesome out of it. So to me, Glip is definitely one of the higher tier characters. Definitely more of a supporting character rather than one of the main ones. But I think that's kind of his purpose. Is he's just this little silly dude who's just in the corner watching the iPad, and his Russian girlfriend shows up sometimes, and he's just kind of the little dude that rounds out this little niche part of the cast, and I fuck with him. Alan has definitely got to be one of my personal favorite Smiling Friend characters. Definitely up there. Very strong contender against Pim, I'd say. He's a character that rounds out the more sour kind of character type. I like with Pim's very positive. I'd say Alan's definitely the more sassy kind, but in a good way, not a bad way. I would say we don't know too much about his personal life. Like, we've never met his family or anything. We just know he lives in an apartment and that he's very passionate about his job and that he is trying to date around. And we've seen that a couple times, like first with the random lady in his a bed in his apartment saying he's good in the sack, and then in the final episode of Smiling Friends where he goes on a date with his landlord. Now, I really fuck with Alan's character. He's just very determined to get his job done, like we see when he's taking inventory of the fridge and doing the insurance papers, even though they're on vacation at the cabin, and then he licks the boss. But he's a guy who's very dedicated to his work and very passionate about it. I personally really like the way he's voiced in like the unique ways he says certain words. I feel like that really makes him stand out as a character. Like when he says like scare ride, like that shit, like I've never heard anybody say that like that ever, and I think that really makes him stand out, at least in my head and in my friend group, where it's just I don't mean to sound like larpy or chuddy or anything, but like we always like quote shit from Alan like all the time. I feel like he's one of the characters that's one of the most easily quotable. Like I can't tell you how many times we fucking said Dr. Monster. But overall, I think Alan just fills out another niche character where he's just the coworker who wants to do his job, and he doesn't necessarily want to have other interactions with the Smiling Friends. I mean, he does definitely, and he's definitely not like mad about going to the Christmas party, for example. I mean, he even brings his family to the Christmas party, but you know, there's he seems like the kind of guy that just wants to leave work at work and leave home at home, and I think that's pretty chill, and I fuck with him.
Do you, Mr. Boss, take Brittany to be your lawfully wedded wife?
No dip.
Mr. Boss is probably the strangest character in all of Smiling Friends, and it's not for the reason you'd think. To me, he's the strangest character, not because he looks weird. You can say that for a lot of characters in the show. Like, if you haven't watched it, you would say, like, oh, it's Charlie, the guy, who the fuck is the little pink guy? Really skinny, the red guy? Like, what the fuck does this little green dude do? But, like, Mr. Boss is, like, the only one who looks like a normal, quote-unquote, human. But it's through his actions that he really shows just how much of a freak he is. And, I mean, freak in a good way, I'd say, because I really do enjoy watching his character, and I think he has a lot of really funny, quotable moments, but he is really just one of those characters that, like, a lot of the time, it's just kind of like, what do we... Ran out your asshole? Like, what do we... What the fuck's up with the bridge? Like, what... You know, it's just... It's really just a character, like, you see what he does, and what he looks like, and he's just like this weird skinny but also jacked like old guy, and he has like I know he's based off of this fucking Dan Aykroyd character from this fuck ass movie that my dad has on VHS, I think, and I don't remember what the movie's called, but it has Chevy Chase, and it's like this weird movie, and Dan Aykroyd is like this ugly dude, and he looks just like Mr. Boss, and I'll throw up a picture, but he eats like all these sausages, and it's just I can't help but think of that every time I see Mr. Boss. Like, it's so, I know I'm ranting, but like Mr. Boss is just such a weird fucking dude, and like he's also a paranoid schizophrenic, I think. So like there's that, and it's just, oh man, this dude's just such a freakazoid, man. I think that really is just what makes him such a unique character in my mind, is that the boss of this charity that goes and makes people smile. Like, you'd think he'd be like this happy, like in a normal story he'd just be like this like happy dude who like really loves what he does, and I guess Mr. Boss does love his boys, but like he is just a weird guy. Like, you wouldn't expect him to be at the head of this like organization, and I just think that's really interesting that and we obviously found out like why he started is because Glit made him smile, and we already went over that, but I don't know, he's just, I just get weird, it's hard to talk about him. He's just such a weird, like, ethereal character. I guess now he owns like a quarter of hell, so that's fun. I guess we'll see him someday, but for the shot we end up in Mr. Boss land and we all go to hell, I guess. So, but I don't know, it's just a freaky, it's freaky. I mean, if you ask me if I fuck with him, I'd say I don't fuck with him, like, on a creepiness moral, but, like, I guess he's a pretty chill boss. I mean, they have 401ks and shit, so, I mean, like, there's definitely worse bosses. I mean, the Jared Fogle thing's a little fucked up, but, like, I don't know, it could be worse. You know, I'll say I fuck with him. I mean, he's always got those crazy outfits on, and, like, you know, he could be a stand-up comedian, maybe not, but, like, I'll say definitively that I fuck with Mr. Boss. I'll fuck with him.
Bad news is I have to let one of you go. Tyler, you're fired.
Huh? What? You fired Tyler, you fired me too!
Tyler is definitely one of the unsung heroes of the Smiling Friends franchise, always working in the background to help the Smiling Friends, and he gets almost none of the credit. I think that Tyler's music career is going places now that he doesn't have the burden of working for the Smiling Friends, and we're going to see him performing at the Super Bowl in 10 to 12 years tops. That's my guess. I definitely fuck with Tyler. Smormu is the worst Smiling Friends character. I'm going to come out and say it. He is he's worse than a self-insert because he's actually a part of the show. There was a chance, and we put it up to the country, failed us, and I'm starting to think that the voting bloc of this country is stupid for letting Smormu on Smiling Friends. So if you didn't take the vote and say, no, I really, really, really hate Smormu, then I think you are brain dead, you're an incel, you're a chud, you're a LARPer, you're not a true Smiling Friends fan, You see, it's even worse than like the autistic gamer dude, in the other one, because like that's like effort, right? But Smormu, he just shows up. He just fucking shows up, and like, was like, hey, do you want me to be in the show? And some people, a bunch of idiots said yeah, and I think he brought down the vibe of the show. His color palette's gross. I mean, it's like kind of like that Lemonade shit. Like the pink, yellow, and blue. He's got those beady eyes. Like, there's just one character with beady eyes, bro. It's Pim. You can't take Pim's eyes, bro. Like, and he's got those fuck ass sneakers, and like he's got 2 different blues on him. I just think Smormu should go away, and I'm really happy that he's dead. So, end of Smormu. He's not coming back. Also, if you were to look at the map for the voting block of the country, you would see that Michigan is no. You're welcome.
I wish this red thing appreciated me like you do. I hate this red thing. I spit on you.
I mentioned at the beginning that because this show is 6 years old and I'm younger, I was a very different person when I started watching the show. Like I said, I didn't even really know about it until a lot of the episodes were already out. My friends told me about it, but I feel like this show has really grown on me, and I've been hyped for the new episode drops every single time, and I've gotten together and watched the new ones with my friends and different groups of friends too. But I feel like I have a pretty big connection to the show just because my friends and I love it, and you know, we've been able to grow closer. We're making jokes over it, and you know, I partook in my first illicit substance while watching the season 3 episode 2 episode with Mr. Frog and his dad. Needless to say, that was an interesting decision, because about halfway through, or whenever the crazy shit with the dad occurs, my friend looked over at me and he was just like, dude, can you feel it? And I thought, and that was honestly one of my favorite memories ever of hanging out with my friends, watching that episode, and especially being in the state we were all in. I thought it was really funny that we ended up watching the most serious episode of Smiling Friends, the most dramatic, and I thought the episode was a great send off. But I also wanted to make this video as kind of a personal send off for me to Smiling Friends, because if it doesn't come back, then you know, I think I'm gonna be okay with that. I think the show did what it wanted to do. It wanted to bring all these people together, different animation mediums, and have fun with it, make something that was entertaining. And you know, when they felt they were getting burnt out, they thought that they should end it on a good note instead of having it drag on and become the next Simpsons or Family Guy. So I think that's pretty hard to know when to end something, and you know, it feels abrupt to me. But you know, I can see where they're definitely coming from. But yeah, so that's Smiling Friends, and you know, the show definitely made me smile. So I think they really did what they set out to do. And that's Smiling Friends.
Charlie, what does it mean? Charlie, you were my everything. What's up, man? Charlie, am I losing my goddamn mind? If it's gone, where will I find it? Thank
You did it again, James. You pushed away the one guy who actually gave a damn about you.
This is the life.
I may have gone a little too far when I
thinking why we started this business in the first place, and it was because of you, man. You want to sit on the beanbag and do nothing? That's fine with me. That's who you are and why you're so freaking cool, bud.
That's to be what you guys are.
No need to apologize. Want to come back?
Yeah. Yippee!
I got those paper clips you wanted.
Oh, thanks, Alan. Well, like I promised, here's your reward. Open your hands up, son.
That's a little version of me, Alan. I want you to have it.
I don't really want this.
I'll take it if you don't want it, Alan.
Yeah, sure, here. Take it. If that's alright with you, Mr. Boston. Charlie hasn't used it.
I mean, you already gave it to him, but it's your gift, man. Do whatever you want with it. Wanna... Yeah.
The video you're watching right now, I took outside of my house, directly across from my driveway. This is a field that I have stared at for a long time. Every time I've had to go get the mail or had to go take the garbage out on a Friday night, every time I leave somewhere, or every time I've been taken to school ever since I was little, or every single time I've driven out of my house, I've always had to look at this field. I've seen them fertilize it, I've seen them cultivate it, I've seen them harvest the corn they grow here. I've seen this field on rainy days, I've seen it on sunny days, and this was a particularly sunny day when I was looking at this, and I wanted to go outside and just kind of show it off maybe, but I don't know, it's just, it makes me feel a certain way when I look at it, and when I think about, it makes me think about all the times that I've probably been different looking at this field over the years and how much I've changed while it's still been here, still owned by the same people, it's still been harvested by the same people. And now that Smiling Friends is over, I don't know if it's ever going to come back, so it's kind of like this time capsule almost of like internet culture maybe, and I think it's going to have a huge impact on at least like the humor in my little friend group. I know I'm kind of like making a bigger deal out of this like goofy show than I probably should, but it really, I don't know, I mean, like, I don't know, I feel like this show has had a huge impact on my life, just kind of in a mental, goofy way. It's brought me closer together with my friends. It's given me something to talk about with them. We always joke about it all the time. I mean, we haven't talked about it a lot recently because it's been a while, but you know, like Project Hail Mary came out and everything, so that was pretty crazy. But I don't know, I thought this field sitting here with a bunch of bugs would kind of iterate how I feel about the show, where it's just kind of the same thing. Not the same thing, I'm not saying that right. It's kind of there while everything else around it is going to change now. I just really am gonna miss Smiling Friends, and I hope it comes back.